Assassin's Creed 2, Uncharted 2 Among Thieves, and Mass Effect 2 are known as some of the greatest sequels of all time. Their developers took the formula of the first game, evolved it, and turned their weaknesses into strengths. With Destiny 2, Bungie is looking to achieve just that after 3 years of growing pains. With an actual campaign, new worlds, and an update to the progression systems, is this the sequel fans deserve, or is the 2 at the end warrantless? Destiny 2 kicks off with a bang as Dominus Gall, the leader of the Cabal's Red Legion, attacks the last city and successfully captures the Traveler. Left for dead and without your light, you must become the rallying point for the remaining Guardians, reunite the Vanguard, and reclaim what Gall has taken from you. Probably the most significant aspect of Destiny 2's campaign is that it is an actual campaign with more variety, context, and agency than ever before. That's not to say everything is rosy, though. The campaign moves players from planet to planet at breakneck speeds, and, as such, it's hard to connect with the various characters. Worst yet is the player's own Guardian, who is relegated to silence with ghosts speaking for you all the time. Purposely done so that players can become invested in their Guardians, the execution comes off as cartoonish, especially when NPCs call you out on it. Gall, however, is quite the surprise. Portrayed as a hulking brute, the marketing has been unfair to the antagonist as there is a surprising amount of depth to him. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a lot of screen time, and his story is wrapped up a little too fast. The campaign will keep players busy for about 6 to 8 hours, and that time is filled with plenty of mission variety. It's not the best story ever, but your time will be well spent. Back in 2014, Bungie nailed the gameplay mechanics for Destiny, and in 2017 this hasn't changed much. Shooting feels fantastic, and platforming, while still a bit floaty, has been tightened up thanks to the ability to clamber over ledges. Much of the gameplay changes lie under the hood, with the previous weapon classifications being replaced with kinetic, energy, and power. Paired with a handful of new gun types, the changes to what weaponry players have at their disposal works out well. While there are no new classes, there are new subclasses. Hunters get the Arc Strider, Titans get Sentinel, and Warlocks get Dawnblade. For those who miss the old subclasses, Gunslinger, Night Stalker, Striker, Sunbreaker, Voidwalker, and Stormcaller all return. Whether you choose new or old, each is fun to play. Aside from Earth, the old moons and planets are gone, replaced with new locations available on Titan, Nessus, and Io. These new areas are huge improvements to the original game's worlds, as they're filled to the brim with more geometry, exploration, and activities, making them more entertaining to explore. New faction leaders populate each destination, but feel lonely and out of place as there are no other NPCs. Despite the improvements, these areas can still feel a bit empty at times, and feel as if they are only there for players to mine loot and kill infinitely respawning enemies, and not like living, breathing worlds. Speaking of enemies, Destiny 2 has no new enemy species. Each faction does come with a few new units, but that doesn't change the fact that we've been fighting the same species endlessly for 3 years already. Considering we're exploring new exotic worlds, there should have been new enemy species. What has been changed for the better is the RNG system, which has been streamlined to be more rewarding. Faction leaders regularly dole out legendary items, making it less of a chore to reach a high power level. Unfortunately, shaders, ships, and sparrows, which used to be handed out as rewards for completing certain activities in the Destiny 1 era, are now locked behind microtransactions. This is extremely disappointing, especially for shaders, which are a key aspect of customization. While you can earn new bright engrams through grinding, it doesn't alleviate the issue that the best shaders in the game are locked behind a paywall and are one-time use consumables. It's sad that one of the best parts of customizing your character has been essentially stripped away. The Crucible returns with new 4v4 matches, down from 6v6. While an odd choice, the 8 maps, 9 on PS4, are well designed for the amount of players. Unfortunately, you can't choose the game mode you want to play, as the 5 modes are randomly chosen based on whether you pick quick play or competitive. Strikes remain the ultimate co-op activity, aside from the raid, and there are plenty to enjoy. With 5 well-designed strikes, 6 on PS4, players will find plenty of content to co-op through, and there's always the weekly Nightfall for extra challenge. Destiny 2's art direction is impeccable, with bigger, more detailed worlds. In particular, the European Dead Zone and Nessus steal the show with their wild vegetation, towering trees, and flowing rivers. Effects, lighting, and animation work is top-notch, making the world of Destiny a solid piece of eye candy. The writing and voice work is solid, but it's Joy Osmansky's failsafe that steals the show. With excellent comedic timing, Osmansky delivers the best quips of the game.
The Kane-6 is currently caught in a teleportation loop. He's over there. Whoop! Now he's over there. Whoop!
On the flip side, Nolan North's portrayal of the Ghost can get a bit irritating at times, but it doesn't deter from the overall experience. In the end, Bungie nailed the presentation values with very few complaints. Destiny 2 is what Destiny should have been, but it's not necessarily what the sequel should have been. It's fun, no doubt, and the numerous quality of life improvements make the game less of a grind this time around. We get an actual campaign, a decent amount of strikes, the Crucible, and tons of new, rewarding side activities that are sure to keep players hooked for hours. However, in other aspects, the game feels more like an expansion than it does a sequel. The lack of new enemies is disappointing, open areas still feel empty, social spaces are still useless, and microtransactions have gated some of the customization behind a paywall. Regardless, Destiny 2 is still a very fun game, and though it may not be the huge sequel initial leaks made it out to be, it's one that players can get lost in for months. If you like this review, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. Otherwise, for everything Destiny 2 and gaming related, head on over to hardcoregamer.com for your fix.